One thing I've noticed is that there's this idea that people on the internet have been spreading around, which is that hey, there's no value in YouTubers making worst of the year list, worst movies of the year, because well, they're just being overly negative. Come on, guys, stop being negative, stop being cynical. What's the value in making a top 10 worst movies of the year list? You should only acknowledge the positives. It's a bad thing to acknowledge the negatives because come on, lighten up, acknowledge the positives too. I think that this is just a ridiculous thing to say because if you're talking about movies that came out in a year, well, you should acknowledge the positive and the negative. I think that if you're a YouTuber reviewing movies, then you should acknowledge the good and the bad. Because if you don't, then you're not being honest. You're being disingenuous if you're like, I'm only going to acknowledge the good. I'm not going to acknowledge the bad. I'm just going to talk about the positives, not the negatives. There's value in bringing up both so that you can look at both ends. You can look at both what Hollywood did right in a year and what Hollywood did wrong in a year. It's not a good thing to just have nothing but positive things to say because then you're not being honest. And if someone think about it too, if someone is just praising someone else, never has anything negative to say, no kind of criticism whatsoever, well, that other person isn't going to learn anything. They're not going to change at all. And that's something that applies here too. If you don't acknowledge the negatives at all, then you're encouraging Hollywood to not learn anything. You're saying, well, I don't care exactly what movies come out. I don't care what bad movies end up coming out. I'm only going to acknowledge the positives. I'm not going to acknowledge the negatives because otherwise apparently I'm just being mean. I'm being negative. I'm being cynical. I am being overly harsh by just being honest rather than being disingenuous. I don't get at all this belief, honestly.